6 months had passed since the day humanity withdrew from peace talks. The crystal meeting room on the neutral space station above Kepler 442b looked the same, but everything else had changed. Ambassador Jae-sung sat at the familiar blue crystal table. Across from him, Veltor and the surviving Dominion leaders waited in silence. But this time they were not sitting as rulers. They knelt on the floor, their heads bowed low. Jae-sung studied them for a long moment. These beings had once terrified the galaxy. Now they looked small and frightened. He felt no joy in their defeat, only the weight of responsibility. "Please rise," Jae-sung said quietly. "Equals do not kneel to equals." Veltor's tentacles trembled as he stood. We are not equals. We are defeated. We await your judgment." "Then, you still don't understand," Jae-sung replied. He pressed a button and the doors opened. Guards entered, not to arrest the Dominion leaders, but to escort in dozens of other beings, representatives from species the Dominion had enslaved for centuries. "These are the ones you should face," Jae-sung explained. "Not humanity." A small, furry creature stepped forward. Ambassador Kree of the Deneb system. Her people had been slaves for 800 years. She looked at Veltor with large, sad eyes. "My grandmother was free," she said softly. "She told stories of our homeworld. Before your ships came, green forests, blue rivers, children playing without fear, you took all of that." Veltor's gray skin turned darker with shame. I followed orders. It was policy. The strong rule the weak." "And now?" Kree asked. "Now that you are weak?" Veltor had no answer. His tentacles drooped to the floor. Jae-sung stood and walked to the window. Outside, ships from 100 worlds gathered. Not warships this time, but transports, cargo vessels, and diplomatic craft. The Free Worlds Alliance was growing every day. "The old Dominion is dead," Jae-sung announced. "What rises from its ashes is your choice. You can join the Alliance as equals. You can go into exile. Or," he paused, "you can make amends." "How?" the feathered council member chirped. "How can we make amends for 3,000 years of oppression?" "By spending the next 3,000 years helping those you hurt," Jae-sung replied. "Your technology, your resources, your knowledge, use them to rebuild what you destroyed." On Earth, the Global Council met in the rebuilt United Nations building. President Kim Yoon reviewed reports from across the galaxy. The transformation was remarkable. "Former Dominion worlds are adapting well," reported Director Jin. "Most have chosen to join the Alliance. Some prefer independence. We respect both choices." "And the rehabilitation centers?" President Kim asked, proceeding better than expected. "Many former Dominion officials are working to undo the damage they caused. It's actually quite inspiring." Young diplomat Mi Young entered with fresh data. "Madam President, we have a new situation. 3 unknown species have emerged from uncharted space. They say they hid from the Dominion for millennia. Now that it's safe, they want to join the galactic community." President Kim smiled. "See that they're welcomed properly. Humanity's first contact protocols, not the old Dominion way." In the rehabilitation centers, former Dominion officers learned new ways of thinking. Commander Thargul, who had lost his fleet at Crystalis 9, now worked alongside human teachers. "I don't understand," he confessed to his human counselor, Dr. Park. "You had the power to destroy us all. Why show mercy?" Dr. Park, a kind woman with graying hair, poured tea for them both. "Let me tell you a story from Earth. After our Second World War, the victors could have crushed their enemies forever. Instead, they helped rebuild. Enemies became allies. Hatred became friendship. We learned that lasting peace comes from forgiveness, not force. But we were cruel to you. We called you primitive. We threatened your extinction." "Yes," Dr. Park agreed. "And we chose not to become like you. That's the difference." In classrooms across the galaxy, children learned new lessons. On the forest world of Sylvana, teacher Li Mei showed her mixed-species class a star map. "This was the galaxy under the Dominion," she explained, highlighting systems in red. "Every red mark shows an enslaved world, She pressed a button. The red marks turned green. This is today. Free worlds. Equal voices. Working together by choice, not force. A young Altarian raised a tentacle. Teacher, why did humans help us? We're not even the same species. Lime smiled. On Earth we have a saying, no one is free until everyone is free. Your freedom and ours are connected. The Deep Space Communications Array picked up signals from the galaxy's edge. Scientist Dr. Song analyzed the data with growing excitement. Admiral Jiwoo, she reported via quantum comm. We're detecting artificial signals from beyond known space. Mathematical patterns, music, art. I think there are other civilizations out there. Civilizations that hid from the Dominion for so long they've been forgotten. Admiral Jiwoo, now head of the Alliance Defense Force, considered this news. Keep monitoring. If they want contact, we'll be ready. This time, first contact will be done right. In the Ghost Fleet's command center, Captain Sunwoo maintained the Eternal Watch. The mighty warship still patrolled, but their mission had changed. They protected trade routes. They rescued ships in distress. They stood guard against any return of tyranny. Captain, her sensor officer reported, we're detecting an escape pod. Very old design. It's been drifting for nearly 50 years. Survivors? Life signs are faint but present. Should we recover? Of course. Every life matters. The pod contained 3 beings in cryosleep. Members of a species thought extinct, destroyed by the Dominion decades ago. When they woke, they expected to find their captors. Instead, they found humans offering warm blankets and hot soup. In the Senate chambers on Station Prime, the first truly democratic election was held. For 3,000 years, seats had been assigned by power and fear. Now, every species had equal representation. Senator Zakthul, re-elected by his people's choice rather than appointment, addressed the assembly. We stand at the dawn of a new age, an age where might does not make right, where diversity is strength, where peace is chosen, not imposed. The human representative was not Ambassador Jae-sung now, but a young woman named Su Jin, elected by humanity to serve one term, then step aside for others. The age of permanent power was ending. As debates continued and votes were counted, something remarkable happened. Former enemies worked together. Ancient prejudices slowly faded. Hope replaced fear. But humanity did not rest. In shipyards around Earth, new vessels took shape. Not warships this time, but exploration craft, hospital ships, research vessels. The sword was becoming a plowshare. Captain Minho, who had received the code black message months ago, now commanded the exploration ship New Horizon. His mission, to chart unknown regions and make peaceful contact with hidden civilizations. Remember, President Kim had told him, you represent not just humanity, but all free peoples. Make us proud. Years later, historians would mark this period as the Great Transformation. Children grew up in a galaxy where cooperation replaced conquest, where strength protected the weak instead of exploiting them, where differences were celebrated, not feared. In human schools, children still learned the old truth. We are the shield for those who cannot protect themselves. We are the sword for those who would abuse their power. We are humanity, patient in peace, terrible in war, merciful in victory. But they also learned a new truth. The greatest victory is not in defeating your enemy, but in transforming them into your friend. On quiet nights when the stars shone bright and clear, old soldiers like Admiral So Young would look up and remember. They remembered the day humanity said no to slavery, the day they revealed their hidden strength, the day they chose mercy over vengeance, and in the vast darkness between stars, the Ghost Fleet maintained its eternal vigil, not as conquerors, not as oppressors, but as guardians of the peace that all free beings had chosen together. The stars still shuddered occasionally, not in fear now but in wonder. Wonder at how a young species from a small blue planet had changed everything. Wonder at how patience and preparation could triumph over arrogance and force. Most of all, wonder at the simple truth humanity had proven. Sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when not to use it. The galaxy was free. The watch continued, and among the stars hope bloomed like flowers after rain. The Galactic Senate building on Station Prime had stood for 3,000 years. Its crystal walls had seen the rise and fall of empires. Today, those walls shook with panic. Order! Order! Senate Chairman Vexnon banged his ceremonial staff against the floor. His forearms waved frantically, trying to calm the assembly. Senator Lethak of the consortium stood on her hind legs, her scales flashing orange with fear. "Impossible," she screeched. "The humans were primitive. We all saw the scans. Their ships were junk. Their weapons were toys." 70 million Dominion soldiers disarmed in one day, shouted the representative from the Hive worlds. "Every military base neutralized. Every fleet scattered. How?" In the center of the chamber, Ambassador Veltor stood silent. His gray skin had turned almost white. His tentacles hung limp at his sides. The other senators threw questions at him. Like stones. "You told us humans were no threat. You said they would beg for mercy. You promised easy victory." Veltor finally raised one tentacle for silence. When he spoke, his voice was hollow. We were deceived. For 40 years, the humans showed us what we expected to see. Primitive drives, simple weapons, basic shields. They traded for our old technology, bought our broken ships, hired our worst teachers. He activated a holographic display. It showed human cargo ships from 40 years ago. Slow, clumsy vessels that could barely manage hyperspace jumps. "This is what we saw," Veltor continued. Then the image changed to show the HMS Retribution, a sleek predator bristling with impossible weapons. "This is what they built in secret." Senator Lethak's scales turned pale yellow with shock. "But how did they hide such advancement? Our spies were everywhere." "Were they?" Veltor asked softly. "Or did we simply assume primitive humans couldn't possibly deceive us? We watched their public shipyards. We never looked in their asteroid belts, their gas giant moons, their Oort clouds." On the human flagship Prometheus, Admiral Jiwoo studied the tactical displays with satisfaction. Her second-in-command, Commander Tae-young, shook his head in amazement. 37 systems liberated in 6 days, Tae-young reported. Every human world free. Every slave species offered protection. No human casualties. "Enemy casualties?" Jiwoo asked. "Also zero, Admiral. Medical teams report some Dominion soldiers fainted from shock, but no deaths, no injuries. We're being called the merciful conquerors on their news networks." Jiwoo smiled. "Good. Fear is temporary. Respect lasts forever. Status of Phase 2? Ready to begin, Admiral. All broadcast systems prepared. Execute." Across the galaxy, every communication device suddenly activated. Screens lit up, speakers hummed to life, even ancient emergency systems powered on. The message reached every inhabited world, every space station, every ship. Admiral Jiwoo's face appeared calm and serious. Behind her, the flags of United Earth and the 17 liberated colonies waved gently. "Citizens of the galaxy," she began. "I am Admiral Jiwoo of the United Earth Defense Force. For 6 days you have watched us dismantle the Dominion military. You have seen our power. Now you will understand our purpose." The image changed to show historical footage. Worlds burning under Dominion assault. Species driven to extinction. Entire civilizations enslaved. For 3,000 years, the Dominion has ruled through fear. They have destroyed 217 species. They have enslaved 1,147 worlds. They have taken resources, crushed cultures, and called it civilization. Now the images showed human history, cave paintings, ancient cities, the pyramids, the Great Wall, images of human struggle and human triumph. Humanity is young to space but old to survival. We have faced ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters. Each time we learned. Each time we grew stronger. And each time we chose to rebuild rather than revenge. The scene shifted to show the recent battles. Dominion fleets being disassembled, soldiers being safely evacuated. Occupied worlds being freed without bloodshed. We could have destroyed the Dominion. Our weapons can unmake stars, shatter planets, erase entire fleets. But we chose precision over power. We chose justice over vengeance. We chose life over death. Senator Zach Thule of the Inner Worlds watched the broadcast from his private chamber. He had served in the Senate for 200 years. He had seen the Dominion crush dozens of rebellions. But this was different. His aide entered quietly. Senator, the humans have made no demands. They haven't asked for territory, resources, or submission. They simply freed their worlds and stopped. That's what terrifies me, Zachthul replied. Conquerors, we understand. Liberators who want nothing. That's new. Back on the broadcast, Admiral Jiwoo continued. Today, we announce the formation of the Free Worlds Alliance. Any species that chooses freedom over fear is welcome. Any world that values justice over power may join. The age of empire is ending. The age of choice begins. In the Dominion Council chambers, the 5 highest leaders watched their empire crumble in real time. Star systems were declaring independence. Slave species were overthrowing their overseers. And the humans were helping everyone, asking for nothing in return. We must negotiate, the feathered council member squawked. Offer them anything, territory, resources, technology. Feltor shook his head slowly. You still don't understand. They don't want our bribes, they want justice. And they have the power to take it. On Earth, President Kim Yuna met with representatives from 17 different species. Each had been enslaved by the Dominion. Each had been freed by human intervention. Why? Asked Ambassador Thren of the Vega colonies. Her people had been slaves for 500 years. Why help us? We cannot repay you. President Kim smiled warmly. When humanity first reached the stars, we hoped to find friends. Instead, we found an empire built on suffering. We could have joined that empire or fought it. We chose a third option, which was to prepare, to grow strong enough not just to free ourselves, but to free others. Your freedom is payment enough. In secret bunkers across Dominion space, military leaders watched their screens in despair. Every tactical simulation showed the same result. The humans couldn't be beaten. Their technology was too advanced, their tactics too perfect, their mercy too confusing. General Kroval of the elite guard threw his command baton across the room. They fight without hatred, they win without killing, they conquer without conquering. How do we fight an enemy like this? His aide suggested, quietly. Perhaps, sir, we don't. Perhaps we learn from them instead. The general turned sharply. In the old Dominion, such words would mean execution. But now everything was changing. On liberated worlds, something amazing happened. Humans landed not with occupation forces, but with teachers, doctors, and engineers. They shared technology freely. They helped rebuild damaged infrastructure. They asked for nothing in return. On New Singapore, young Mi Young coordinated refugee assistance. Millions of beings had fled Dominion space, seeking protection in human territory. Set up more shelters in Sector 7, she ordered, and make sure the Altarian refugees get the high-oxygen tents. Their species needs 30% more oxygen than standard atmosphere. Her assistant looked at the endless stream of refugees. Can we handle this many? Mi Young smiled. My grandmother fled Korea during Earth's last World War. Strangers took her in, fed her, gave her hope. Now we do the same. It's the human way. In the Senate chambers, a historic moment arrived. Veltor, still the official Dominion representative, stood to address the assembly. His tentacles shook with emotion. The Dominion formally surrenders all claims to occupied territories, he announced. We request terms. The human representative, Ambassador Jae-sung, had returned to diplomatic service. He stood slowly, his face grave but not triumphant. Humanity has no terms, he said simply. We seek no revenge, no reparations, no territory. We ask only that you choose. Join the free, Worlds alliance as equals or go your own way in peace. The choice is yours. The Senate erupted in shocked murmurs. No demands, no punishment, no forced submission. Senator Lethak voiced what everyone was thinking. But you won. You could take everything. Jae-sung smiled sadly. Senator, if we took everything by force, how would we be different from the old Dominion? True victory isn't in what you can take. It's in what you choose to give. As debates raged and alliances shifted, one truth became clear to all. The galaxy would never be the same. The humans hadn't just won a war. They had changed the very concept of power. In quiet corners of the galaxy, children of 100 species began learning a new phrase, the human way. It meant strength without cruelty, victory without vengeance, power used to protect, not to punish. The stars themselves seemed to shine differently now. The galaxy had trembled, not from fear of human weapons, but from the shock of human mercy. The age of empires was ending. The age of choice had begun. Commander Thargul of the Dominion Navy was eating breakfast when space itself screamed. His teacup shattered, spilling hot liquid across his uniform. Alarms wailed throughout the military station orbiting Crystallis 9. Report, Thargul shouted, running to the command center. Unknown energy surge, Commander. His sensor officer yelled over the noise. Something is tearing space apart. Through the viewport, Thargul watched reality ripple like water. Then suddenly, 3 massive ships appeared from nowhere. No flash of light, no hyperspace tunnel. They were simply there, as if they had always existed. The ships were unlike anything in Dominion databases. Dark and angular, they bristled with weapons Thargul couldn't identify. Each vessel was larger than his entire station. Identify those ships, Thargul ordered. Before his officer could respond, a message played across all communication channels. The voice was female, calm, and spoke perfect Dominion standard. This is Captain Yoon-ji of the HMS Retribution. By order of United Earth, you are occupying sovereign human territory. You have 1 solar hour to evacuate. This is your only warning. Thargul's scales turned pale green, a sign of confusion in his species. Human territory? This planet has been under Dominion control for 200 years. He activated his own communications. Unknown vessels, this is Commander Thargul of the Dominion Navy. Your claims are rejected. Leave immediately or face destruction. Captain Yoon-ji's reply was simple. We decline. Thargul had commanded this station for 30 years. He had fought pirates, rebels, and rival powers. Humans were supposed to be primitive newcomers with outdated technology. He almost laughed. All ships, battle formation, he ordered. Destroy these primitives. 70 Dominion warships surrounded the 3 human vessels. Each alien ship was a marvel of engineering, smooth, elegant, and deadly. Their plasma cannons could melt asteroids. Their missile arrays could track 1,000 targets simultaneously. Fire, Thargul commanded. Space lit up with weapons fire. Plasma bolts, quantum torpedoes, and gravity missiles streaked toward the human ships. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. But something impossible happened. The space around, the human ships shimmered, and every attack simply stopped existing. Not blocked or deflected. The weapons fire just vanished, as if it had never been. What are they doing? Thargul whispered. His science officer was frantically checking readings. Commander, they're using some kind of reality manipulation field. Our weapons are being erased from existence. Impossible. That violates the laws of physics. Apparently, the officer replied weakly. Humans have different laws. On the HMS Retribution, Captain Yoon-ji watched the alien attacks fail with satisfaction. Quantum shields holding at 99.8% efficiency, her defensive officer reported. They can't touch us, Captain. Very well, Yoon-ji said. She felt no joy in what came next, only grim necessity. 1 warning shot. Target their command ship's engines only. Aye, Captain. Firing reality lance. A beam of pure white light shot from the human dreadnought. It was impossibly thin, no wider than a pencil, It touched the engine section of Thargol's flagship for exactly 0.3 seconds. The entire rear third of the Dominion vessel sublimated into its component atoms. Thargol felt his ship shudder and die. Emergency power kicked in, bathing the bridge in red light. Damage report. Engines gone, sir, not destroyed, gone. The atoms have been disassembled. All ships, full attack, Thargol screamed. Everything you have. The entire Dominion fleet opened fire. Space became a storm of energy and matter. Any normal ship would have been vaporized instantly. The human ships didn't move, didn't dodge, didn't even return fire. They simply sat there as reality bent around them, swallowing every attack. Then Captain Yunji spoke again. You were warned, weapons free, disable all hostile vessels. What happened next took exactly 4.7 seconds. 3. Beams of white light swept across the Dominion fleet. Where the beams touched, matter ceased to exist in its current form. Ships didn't explode, they simply came apart at the molecular level. Metal became atoms. Atoms became quarks. Quarks became probability waves. In less than 5 seconds, 70 Dominion warships became expanding clouds of elementary particles. Thargol's station was the only thing left intact. He sat in his command chair, scales now pure white with terror, watching his mighty fleet drift as cosmic dust. You destroyed them all, he whispered into the comm. Incorrect, Captain Yunji replied. We disassembled them. Your crews are unharmed. Check your escape pod beacon signals. Thargol's officer confirmed it. Thousands of escape pods floated in space, each containing living crew members. The humans had somehow destroyed the ships while saving every life aboard. How? Thargol asked. How is this possible? You spent 40 years laughing at our primitive technology, Yunji explained. While you laughed, we learned, we improved, we prepared. Now evacuate this system. You have 30 minutes remaining. Similar scenes unfolded across the galaxy. Human ships appeared without warning at strategic Dominion bases. Each time they offered the same choice, leave or be disassembled. Those who complied, lived. Those who fought back became quantum foam. At Starbase Gamma 7, Wing Commander Dae Jung led a squadron of human fighters against a Dominion rapid response fleet. His craft, the Night Hunter, was 1/10 the size of the smallest alien ship. Remember, your training, Dae Jung told his pilots. Phase through their shields, plant the quantum charges, and get clear. These aren't simulations anymore. 20 human fighters faced 300 Dominion interceptors. The aliens expected an easy victory. They were wrong. Human fighters didn't fly like other ships. They phased in and out of reality, appearing inside enemy shields, delivering their payload, then vanishing before counterfire could touch them. Dominion pilots reported seeing human ships in 3 places at once, weapons locked onto targets that weren't really there. In 12 minutes, the entire Dominion rapid response fleet was reduced to atoms. Not a single human fighter was scratched. On the border world of New Singapore, Admiral Kratek of the Dominion watched his tactical display in horror. Red warning lights flashed across 17 systems. This is impossible. They're everywhere at once. His aide trembled beside him. Sir, we're receiving reports from all sectors. Human ships are appearing without any hyperspace signatures. Our fleets are being disintegrated. Send everything, Kratek ordered. All reserves, all ships. Sir, we are. But they... The aide paused, reading new reports. They don't miss, sir. They don't take damage. They just appear, destroy, and vanish. Our weapons can't hurt them. Our shields can't stop them. On Earth, Admiral So Young monitored the operation from the command center. Holographic displays showed human forces striking across 1,000 light-years of space simultaneously. Phase 1 objectives achieved, an officer reported. All primary Dominion military bases neutralized. 0 human casualties, enemy casualties. Also 0, Admiral. All crews evacuated successfully. So Young nodded. This was war as humans preferred it. Quick, decisive, and strangely merciful. Status of occupied human worlds. All 17 colonies liberated. Dominion forces evacuating without resistance. On the reclaimed world of New Texas, colonist Hai Jin watched the last Dominion administrative ship lift off. Her family had lived under alien rule for 20 years. Now, human. Flags flew again over the Capitol building. They just left, her daughter said in wonder. No fighting, no burning, they just left. Hyejin hugged her child. That's because they finally learned what humans are capable of. And they're scared. Back in Dominion space, panic spread like wildfire. Military commanders sent desperate messages to the Council. The reports were identical. Human technology was impossible. Human tactics were unstoppable. Human mercy was confusing. On the capital world of Dominion Prime, citizens watched news feeds in shock. Their mighty navy, which had ruled the galaxy for millennia, was being swept aside like dust. Yet not a single Dominion life had been lost. In the council chambers, Veltor received report after report of defeat. His tentacles hung limp with shock. How? They were primitive. We monitored them. We knew their capabilities. His intelligence chief spoke carefully. It appears, Speaker, that they showed us only what they wanted us to see. While we watched their cargo ships and passenger liners, they built something else in secret. A new message played across the emergency channels. Admiral So Young's face appeared on every screen in the Dominion. This is Admiral So Young of the United Earth Defense Force. Your military bases have been neutralized. Your occupation of human worlds has ended. Humanity seeks no revenge, no conquest. We want only freedom and justice. She paused, letting the words sink in. You called us primitives. You offered us slavery. You threatened our extinction. You were wrong on all counts. The stars shudder not at our weapons, but at our restraint. We could destroy you all. We choose not to. Consider this mercy, and remember it. The transmission ended. Across the Dominion, billions of beings sat in stunned silence. The humans hadn't just won. They had won so completely, so easily, that it defied understanding, and they had done it without taking a single life. In his command chair, Veltor finally understood the emotion he had seen in Ambassador Jae Sung's eyes during their last meeting. It, too, hadn't been fear or anger or sadness, it had been pity. The encrypted message reached Captain Minho at Oro 300 hours ship time. He was drinking coffee in the command center of the trade vessel, Aurora's Dream, when the communications officer suddenly sat up straight. Captain, priority alpha message from Earth. It's code black, sir. Minho's coffee mug hit the floor. The brown liquid spread across the metal deck, but nobody moved to clean it up. Every crew member in the command center turned to stare at their captain. Confirm that message, Minho ordered. His voice stayed calm, but his hands shook slightly. Confirmed, sir. Authentication code verified. This is real. Minho stood up slowly. He had trained for this moment, but he never thought it would actually happen. Code black. The emergency protocol every human ship captain knew but hoped would never come. All hands, this is the captain. Minho spoke into the ship's communication system. We have received code black. I repeat, code black is now active. All human vessels are ordered to return to Sol system immediately. This is not a drill. On the planet below, Minho's ship had been trading Earth coffee for alien crystals. The deal was worth millions of credits. None of that mattered now. Sir, the navigation officer asked, what about our cargo? Our contracts? Leave it, Minho ordered. Set course for Earth, maximum speed. Across the galaxy, the same scene repeated on hundreds of human ships. Cargo vessels abandoned their routes. Research ships packed up their experiments. Passenger liners turned around mid-journey. Even the deep space explorers searching for new worlds at the edge of known space began the long journey home. On the tourist world of Paradise 7th, a human gift shop owner named Su Jin received the message on her personal communicator. She read it twice, then began packing immediately. Her alien landlord watched in confusion. Where are you going? The three-eyed creature asked. You have 6 months left on your lease. Keep the deposit, Su Jin said, stuffing clothes into a travel. Tigers, I have to go home. But why? What happened? Sujin paused at the door. I don't know. But when Earth calls all its children home, we go. No questions asked. Within 48 hours, humans vanished from alien worlds like morning mist. Hotels stood empty. Shops closed without warning. Restaurants left tables set for dinner that would never be served. The Dominion Council watched these events with amusement. In their grand chamber on the capital world, Veltor reviewed reports from across the galaxy. They run like scared animals, the feathered council member chirped. See how quickly they abandon everything they built? Humans are retreating to their home system, the beetle-like alien added. They know they cannot survive alone. Soon they will beg for our protection. But Veltor remained silent. Something felt wrong. The recall was too organized, too efficient. No panic, no confusion. Every human simply left. On Earth, huge crowds gathered at every spaceport. Families welcomed, home traders, scientists, and diplomats. Children who had been born on alien worlds saw Earth's blue skies for the first time. In New Geneva, the capital of United Earth, President Kim Yuna met with her military advisors in an underground bunker. The room was carved from solid rock, 3 kilometers below the Swiss mountains. How many have returned, she asked. Admiral So-Young checked her datapad. 97% of all human vessels are back in Sol system. The remaining 3% are deep space explorers. They'll arrive within 6 months. And the Ghost Fleet? So-Young smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Fully operational, Madam President. 40 years of secret construction. 12,000 warships. All hidden in the Kuiper Belt waiting for activation. President Kim stood and walked to a huge display screen showing the solar system. Thousands of green dots marked returning human ships. But hidden in the asteroid belt and among the outer planets, red dots showed something else. Something the aliens didn't know about. 40 years ago, the president said, when we first met the Dominion, they scanned our technology and laughed. They said we were primitive, backwards, no threat to anyone. Yes, ma'am, So-Young agreed. So we let them keep thinking that. We traded for their cast-off equipment. We bought their obsolete ships. We hired alien teachers to show us basic space travel. President Kim touched the screen and the red dots began to pulse. But humans have always been good at learning and improving. In a secret facility on Earth's moon, Chief Engineer Jung worked without sleep. His team of 10,000 scientists put the finishing touches on humanity's greatest creation, the quantum skip drive. Standard alien FTL drives use hyperspace tunnels, Jung explained to his assistant. It takes days or weeks to travel between stars. But our quantum drive? We don't travel through space. We skip over it entirely. How fast? The assistant asked. Instantaneous. Jung smiled. Any distance. Any time. No warning. In the depths of the Kuiper Belt, far from any alien sensors, the Ghost Fleet powered up. These ships looked nothing, like the round, smooth vessels other species used. Human warships were angular, dark, and bristling with weapons. They had names that aliens would soon learn to fear. Revenge, defiance, liberty, justice. Captain Yunji stood on the bridge of the HMS Retribution, one of humanity's new dreadnoughts. Her ship was 2 kilometers long and carried weapons that bent the laws of physics. All systems green, her weapons officer reported. Quantum shields at full power. Reality anchors stable. We're ready, Captain. Yunji nodded. She thought of her grandfather who had fought in Earth's last World War. He always said humans were at their most dangerous when cornered. 40 years of pretending to be weak, she said softly. 40 years of secret preparation. No wonder the aliens think we're primitive. Young pilot Dai Jung sat in his fighter craft, running system checks. His ship was sleek and black, designed to be invisible to alien sensors. He ran his hand along the control panel. Time to show them what humans can really do, he whispered. Back on Earth, President Kim addressed the planet through emergency broadcasts. Every human, whether on Earth, Mars, or the colony ships, watched their leader speak. My fellow humans, she began. Today marks the end of our pretend weakness. For 40 years we played the role of the primitive newcomers. We bowed, we scraped, we accepted insults and unfair treatment. She paused, her dark eyes flashing with determination. That time is over. The Dominion wants to make us slaves. They think we are weak because we choose peace. They are about to learn why our ancestors survived every catastrophe Earth threw at them. In homes across the solar system, humans watched with grim satisfaction. Parents held their children closer. Old soldiers put on their uniforms one more time. Engineers double-checked their calculations. In the asteroid belt, massive construction, yards that had been hidden for decades revealed themselves. Ships larger than cities emerged from camouflaged hangars. Weapons that could crack moons powered up for the first time. The recall was complete. Every human who could return was home. Earth's children had answered the call. In Dominion space, monitoring stations recorded the sudden disappearance of all human activity. Trade routes empty, communications silent. It was as if humanity had simply vanished. They hide in their home system like frightened pups, Veltor told the council. In a few months, when their supplies run low, they will come begging for trade agreements. None of them noticed the quantum signatures building in Sol system. None of them detected the massive energy readings from humanity's hidden bases. They were too busy congratulating themselves on scaring away the primitive humans. But in the darkness between stars, something was coming. Humanity had recalled its people not to hide, but to prepare. The sheep's clothing was coming off. The wolves were about to hunt. Admiral So Young stood before the assembled fleet commanders. The holographic display showed every human warship, every fighter, every weapon platform. Phase 1 is complete, she announced. All assets recalled, all ships operational, all weapons online. She looked at each commander in turn. These were humans who had spent their lives pretending to be weak. Now they could finally show their true strength. 40 years ago, they judged us by our technology and found us wanting. They never judged us by our spirit, our determination, or our ability to learn. So Young smiled coldly. Time to teach them the difference. Phase 2 begins at 0600 hours tomorrow. Target list has been distributed. Remember, military targets only. We are not barbarians. Unlike them, someone muttered. Exactly, So Young agreed. We will show them what civilized warfare looks like, swift, precise, devastating. As the commanders filed out to prepare their ships, So Young remained behind. She stared at the tactical display, thinking of all the species enslaved by the Dominion. Hold on a little longer, she whispered to the stars. Help is coming. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn why humans had really withdrawn from peace talks. Tomorrow, the stars would shudder. Ambassador Jae-sung walked through the long metal hallway of the neutral space station. His black shoes clicked against the floor with each step. Behind him walked his assistant, Lieutenant Hana, carrying a silver briefcase full of documents. 2 human guards followed them, their faces serious and watchful. The space station floated high above a strange purple planet called Kepler 442b. No one lived on this station except robots and computers. It was built just for meetings between different alien species. Today was the most important meeting in human history. Jae-sung stopped at a huge silver door. He took a deep breath and straightened his blue uniform. He had waited 3 years for this moment. 3 long years of talking, arguing, and hoping. Are you ready, sir? Hana asked softly. Jae-sung nodded. As ready as anyone can be for the end of the world, or its new beginning. The silver door opened with a soft hiss. Inside was a round room with white walls and a crystal ceiling. Stars twinkled above them through the clear roof. In the center stood a large table made of blue crystal. On one side sat 5 aliens. On the other side were 5 empty chairs for the humans. The aliens looked different from anything on Earth. Their leader, Veltor, had gray skin like wet stone. Instead of arms, he had 6 long tentacles that moved slowly in the air. His 3 red eyes watched Jae-sung carefully. Next to him sat other members of the Dominion Council, creatures with scales, feathers, and shells. Ambassador Jae-sung, Veltor spoke. His voice sounded like water running over rocks. You are late. Jae-sung checked his watch. We are exactly on time, Speaker Veltor. As always. The humans took their seats. Jae-sung placed his hands flat on the crystal table. Hana opened her briefcase and pulled out a small computer tablet. The guard stood behind them, completely still. Shall we begin the final session? Veltor asked. His tentacles twisted together like rope. I hope Earth has reconsidered our generous offer. Generous? Jae-sung almost laughed. For 3 years the Dominion had offered the same deal. Humans could join the galactic community, but only as servants. They would pay taxes, send workers, and obey all Dominion laws. In return, they could trade with other worlds and travel through space. Earth's parliament met yesterday, Jae-sung said calmly. All 195 nations voted. The decision was unanimous. One of the other aliens, a creature covered in blue feathers, made a clicking sound. Unanimous? That rarely happens with humans. It happens when survival is at stake, Jae-sung replied. Veltor leaned forward. His red eyes grew brighter. Then you accept our terms? Humanity will join the Dominion as a tributary species? Jae-sung felt Hana tense beside him. This was the moment. 3 years of work, hundreds of meetings, thousands of hours of discussion, all leading to this single word. No, Jae-sung said. The room became very quiet. One of the aliens, a small creature with silver scales, dropped its drinking cup. The liquid floated in the zero gravity before a robot cleaned it up. No, Veltor repeated. His tentacles stopped moving. Perhaps you misunderstand. This is your final chance. Accept our terms or face isolation. No trade, no travel, no protection. We understand perfectly, Jae-sung said. Humanity rejects your offer. We will not be slaves. Slaves? The feathered alien laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. Such dramatic words. You would be junior members of our community. Many species thrive under our guidance. How many of those species had a choice? Hana asked suddenly. The aliens turned to look at her. Speaking without permission was against their rules. Lieutenant Hana asks a good question, Jae-sung said, protecting his assistant. In our 3 years of negotiation, you have shown us records of 347 species in your dominion. How many joined willingly? Veltor's tentacles began moving again, faster now. That is not relevant. The strong guide the weak. It is the way of the universe. It is your way, Jae-sung corrected. Not ours. Another alien, this one looking like a giant red beetle, spoke up. Humans are new to space. You have only been traveling between stars for 40 years. You know nothing of galactic politics. We know enough, Jae-sung said. He stood up slowly. We know that you take 60% of all resources from tributary worlds. We know that you forbid subject species from developing new technology. We know that 17 species have gone extinct under your rule. Lies, the feathered alien screeched. Facts, Jae-sung replied calmly. Well-documented facts. We may be new to space, but we are not stupid. Veltor raised one tentacle. The room became quiet again. Let me be clear, Ambassador. Without our protection, your species will not survive. There are dangers in space you cannot imagine. Pirates, raiders, cosmic storms, ancient machines that destroy whole planets. We'll take our chances, Jae-sung said. You doom your entire species for pride? Veltor asked. His voice became softer, almost kind. Think of your children, your families. In 50 years, Earth could be a smoking ruin. Is your independence worth that risk? Jae-sung thought of his daughter back on Earth. She was 7 years old with black hair and curious brown eyes. She wanted to be a space explorer when she grew up. What kind of universe was he leaving her? Speaker Veltor, Jae-sung said slowly. In 1776, 13 small colonies declared independence from the British Empire. Everyone said they would fail. They won. In 1945, humans created atomic weapons. Everyone said we would destroy ourselves. We survived. In 2010, we discovered we were not alone in the universe. Everyone said we should hide. Instead, we reached for the stars. He walked around the table, his shoes clicking on the metal floor. Humanity has faced extinction many times. Ice ages, plagues, wars, asteroids. Each time people said we were doomed. Each time, we proved them wrong. This is different, Veltor insisted. You face the entire Dominion. Thousands of worlds, millions of ships. Jae-sung stopped walking. He stood very straight and looked at each alien in turn. Then we have nothing more to discuss. The silence lasted exactly 17 seconds. Hana counted them on her watch. She had never heard such complete quiet. Even the air recycling system seemed to pause. Finally, Jae-sung spoke again. His voice was soft but clear. Humanity formally withdraws from all peace negotiations. May the stars forgive you. He turned to leave. Hana quickly packed her briefcase. The guards moved to follow. Wait, the silver-scaled alien called out. You cannot simply leave. There are protocols, procedures. Jae-sung stopped at the door but did not turn around. Your protocols mean nothing to us now. We are no longer seeking your approval. As the human delegation walked through the doorway, they heard Veltor speak one last time. Foolish mammals. You have signed your own death warrant. In the hallway, Hana finally allowed herself to breathe normally. Sir, what happens now? Jae-sung kept walking. Now we show them why humans survived when so many other species on Earth died out. We adapt, we overcome, we endure. Back in the crystal room, the alien representatives looked at each other. Some seemed confused, others appeared amused. Another minor species choosing extinction over servitude, the feathered alien chirped. How tiresome. Veltor remained silent. Something bothered him about the human ambassador. Jae-sung had not seemed afraid, not angry, not even sad. He had seemed relieved. Shall I order the fleet to blockade Earth? The beetle-like alien asked. Not yet, Veltor said slowly. Let them return home. Let them tell their leaders what happened. Fear will do our work for us. In a few months, they will beg us to accept their surrender. The others agreed. After all, what could one small species do against the might of the Dominion? Humans had only been in space for 40 years. They had a few dozen ships at most. Primitive, weapons, limited technology. As the aliens filed out of the meeting room, none of them noticed the small smirk on Veltor's assistant's face. She had been watching the humans for years. Something was different about them. Something dangerous. But she kept her thoughts to herself. In the Dominion, questioning your superiors was not healthy. Above the purple planet, the human ship constellation powered up its engines. Ambassador Jae-sung sat in his cabin staring at a photo of his daughter. The die is cast, he whispered to himself. In the cargo hold, Lieutenant Hana opened the silver briefcase. Inside, a single red button waited under a clear plastic cover. The label read, Emergency Protocol Black, Authorized Personnel Only. The stars continued to shine cold and distant. The universe went on as it always had. But something had changed. Something important. Humanity had said no. And soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn what that really meant.